Hello and welcome to part 3 of St. Michael the Archangel's Guide to Online Learning. So in this part of the video series, I'm going to show you how to use Peardeck as well as optimizing your Google Slides presentations and assignments for online learning. I'm also, with this very same lesson for my calculus class, I'm going to give an example of what one entire online lesson might look like. So I'm going to share all my materials and the actual video of me teaching with the staff, and it'll also be posted on this same YouTube channel if you want to take advantage of that as an example. So first, Peardeck. So to get started with Peardeck, come here in Google Slides. I've already made my title slide here. I'm going to go to Add-ons, and then here everyone on the staff at St. Michael should have this under Add-ons, Peardeck for Google Slides add-on. If not, then that original email from Peardeck, there's a link in it. If you follow that link, then that will get you to where this will be present under add-ons. If you deleted that email, check your deleted items folder and see if you can restore it. If not, then I can probably reach out to Peardeck and get back to you, although I'm not sure how quickly that can happen. If you're in that situation, then just submit a ticket by emailing techsupport@smacatholic.org. Alright, so for those of us who have Peardeck ready, I'm going to go ahead and come here, Peardeck for Google Slides add-on, and then click Open Peardeck add-on. It needs my permission to run since this is my first time using it. I want to log in as me. It wants all these permissions. I'm going to give it all of those permissions. So I'm going to click Allow. It's working, and then it should, on the side here, come up with this Peardeck panel. Alright, so now there's template libraries and all these things. Ask students a question, how Peardeck works, and so on. So I'm going to go to the template library because I want to have a more engaging template. So let's see, beginning of lesson, during lesson, end of lesson, critical thinking, all sorts of good stuff here. Now this is math, so let's click on math. What questions could we ask? Choose a response. So I don't necessarily want to use any of these just yet, since this is just my title slide. But now for this slide in particular, my very first thing is going to be a definition. I already have my lesson plan and all my notes written out on the side. And I'm going to explain this whenever I voice over in the lesson. So now let's go on to the next slide, and I think that this will be conducive to the example that I'm going to give. So this is example number 1, and I'm going to be more specific. I'm going to say solve for y where y equals 1 and x equals 1. And then I'm going to, underneath that, put in parentheses, this is example number 1, found on page 350 of the... Okay, now I like this, but let's just try some different stuff just to shake it up. On the next one, I'm going to hit Control M to open a new slide. The solution I'm going to have worked out on a separate piece of paper. So now I'm ready for my second example. On that example, it's a multiple choice problem from the College Board, our friends that make the AP exam. So I'm going to go back to math. Go with choose response. We're going to add that in. Choose response. I'm going to delete that other slide. Didn't need it. Choose a response. A, B, C, D. Insert story problem question here. And now you can see that I have typed in the prompt for my problem, and I have the option to just start typing over A through E here. I could even get rid of one if I wanted to, because I think I only have 4 options. And in fact, I want to make those a little bigger since I only have 4, and I could really fit a little bit more. So I'm going to change the font size just a bit, and that looks better. And I could adjust that more once I actually put in my actual options. But I'm going to have to consult back with my notes to see what all 4 of those options were, and I might clean this up a bit too, but there's just another example using another one of these slide choices. I want to add in at this point kind of a check-in, and I'm going to say, okay, what's going on? So let's add this in. I like this one here because it's saying, explain how you got that answer. but I'm going to edit the text. This is a great just check-in reflection tool, I think. It's nothing that requires student interaction. But let's go ahead and add in some student interaction. Let's say that I've gone on a little bit, I've got a couple more examples, and then now I want to add in during a lesson. I want to add in some ideas. I'm going to say, I think let's go with this one. Drag your dot to how you're feeling. Because I imagine at this point we're learning differential equations for the first time. It's not exactly an easy topic. I want to see how they're doing. We have stop, I need help, I'm a little confused, keep going, I understand. Now in the actual classroom, this is something that could happen live with my students. With this online learning, the way for them to check in with themselves at a minimum. This is a great way for the students to just kind of check in, see if they understand or not, and possibly check in with them and see where they're at. Hello, I'm very nearly done making the slideshow for my lesson, but I discovered a little handy tool. So for this one in particular, let's go to this multiple choice problem. If I come down here to ask students a question, I'm going to select choice. All right, now that I have all my options plugged in, I'm just going to get rid of E because I only have 4 choices. I'm going to say update slide. Looks like I need to reauthorize. I had a message there that said the pop-up was blocked. Yep, I just need to grant it access to see my Google Drive. Now I can just move through this. I have my first example, and now I have multiple choice. Looks like I need to clean that up a little bit. And students should be given a choice to select one of these options. I could click then show responses. Of course, I don't have any. But I could come here, I can see a grid layout, I could see an overlaid layout. Hopefully whenever we've actually had a chance to use this, we'll have a better idea of what this looks like. It's just about done for this last slide here, this last example I was going to do. I was going to try using a different format. So this typically says which of these doesn't belong and you throw in pictures. Instead, I want to say which of the following. Great, now I don't want pictures, I want text boxes. So I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to click on Text Box. I'm going to drag it right here. And then in here I'm going to type my first possibility, which would say y equals 2 times the sine of 4x. And then that's really small, and that's all it's going to be there, so I'm going to make it quite a bit bigger. Let's go up to 30. And then I want to center it as well. So I'm going to click these dots right here, and I want to center it. So I'm going to go to Align, and Center. All right, now I want to make more text boxes, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to leave you here, and I'm going to come back whenever that has been taken care of. Okay, now just using text boxes, I have a slide that looks quite a bit better than before, I think. I would like that little cutoff to be not quite like it is, and I believe that this box is just holding that middle line. So I'm just going to drag it down a bit. It looks like I was correct. And right about there looks fine to me. So as you can see now, this gives me an option for them to test out, is it 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3, just 3, or whatever it is. I'm not going to add in a choice option to this because the answer is 2 and 3, and I don't want to mess with all that. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Whenever I actually record my lesson, I'll work through it and explain it, and hopefully they'll do it on their own as well. All right, that concludes the lesson on how to use Peardeck in a Google slide. Again, I'm going to be using this exact slideshow to teach my lesson in a video that I will then share with everybody. So just hang tight, and I'll have that posted pretty soon.